Welcome to my final Stranger Things Season 2 episode review videos. This, of course, is the Season 2 finale. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you're not caught up to the point where I am every week you're watching Stranger Things, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which, of course, I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, if you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, thus far, I've watched every single episode of Stranger Things. Looking forward to the fifth and final season of Stranger Things, which I'm hearing is supposed to come out in November, although that has yet to be confirmed. And I'm guessing that once it does come out, they'll take a break like halfway through to go into 2026, so people pay more money for Netflix. That's what they'll do. I'm fine with it, but I just want to watch this fifth and final season. The wait has been so long. And Stranger Things is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. I'm not exactly sure where it ranks. It's definitely in the top 10. It's definitely in the top 20. But it's very possible it might be in the top 10. So doing this rewatch the show and letting it resonate a little bit more will help me determine where Stranger Things will rank for a massive top 50 favorite TV shows of all time ranking that I'll do at some point in 2025. So with all that said, this will be Stranger Things Season 2, Episode 9, the Season 2 finale. The title of this episode is called The Gate, and this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. Eleven and Mike embrace, reunited after almost a year. Mike tells her that he called every night, and she admits that she knew, Hopper explaining that he had been hiding her the whole time. She and Hopper hug until Mike, enraged, confronts Hopper over hiding her. Mike shouts at him in a back bedroom, venting his rage until he calms, understating why Hopper hid Eleven. And then Eleven hugs Dustin and Lucas, but coldly brushes off Max when she tries to greet her with a handshake. She also hugs Joyce and looks at the unconscious Will and confirms that she is capable of closing the gate. Billy goes to the Wheeler house looking for Max and casually flirts with Karen, who was in the bathtub, and she had to get out of the bathtub because her husband was asleep and wouldn't answer the goddamn door because Billy was ringing that doorbell over and over and over again. Or was he knocking? I don't remember if he was ringing a doorbell or knocking. I believe he was ringing the doorbell. But Karen informs Billy that the kids are likely at the buyer's place. The group lays out their plan. Eleven and Hopper will go to the gate to close it, but only after Joyce, Jonathan, and Nancy extract the Mind Flayer from Will, as closing the gate could kill Will while the Mind Flayer is connected to him. Joyce remembers Will saying that the Mind Flayer likes it cold, and concludes that they need to overheat Will to try to get the Mind Flayer out of him. Hopper tells them to use his cabin so Will cannot draw the Demodogs to them by recognizing where he is. Steve accepts that he and Nancy are no longer together and stays behind to guard the kids, while Eleven promising Mike that she will come back, but is interrupted by Hopper before they can kiss. Eleven explains to Hopper that she saw Terry, and Hopper apologizes to her for lying about her mother. He expresses that he feels like a black hole that destroys everything it gets close to, and that is what he feels happened to his daughter. Eleven is surprised to find out Hopper has a daughter, but Hopper clarifies that Sarah died by saying she left us. Eleven takes his hand, and they both acknowledge that they have acted irresponsibly. He compliments Eleven on her new look, which Eleven refers to as bitchin', and he agrees. Wanting to preserve the Demodog's body for science, Dustin has Steve clear out the buyer's fridge and place the body inside. A restless Mike demands that they distract the Demodogs, worried that they will swarm Eleven and Hopper. Mike suggests that they go to the tunnel system's graveyard and start a fire to lure them away, which Steve vehemently objects to. Billy arrives outside looking for Max and shoves Steve Harrington aside when he notices her in the window, taunting him by reminding him to plant his feet. He bursts inside and attacks Lucas, but is stopped from hurting him by Steve. In the ensuing fight, Billy breaks a plate over Steve's head, pins him to the ground, and repeatedly beats him, but is stopped from doing serious damage by Max, who injects him with the rest of Will's sedative. She threatens him with the nail bat to leave her and her friends alone, and she leaves him on the floor and takes his keys. Joyce, Jonathan, and Nancy arrive at Hopper's cabin and tie Will to a bed, rigging the cabin with a lit fire and several heaters, while Hopper and 11 arrive at Hawkins' lavatory. As Will wakes up and begins shrieking to let him go and saying it hurts over and over, Nancy, Jonathan, and Joyce all watch with fear. Nancy and Jonathan grab each other's hands as Joyce looks at Will, struggling for causing Will this kind of distress. However, her resolve strengthens when she remembers Bob and their time together. Joyce goes around and turns the heaters on full blast. Max drives Billy's car to Hopper's dig site as a protesting Steve comes to, and Dustin convinces him to come into the tunnels with them. Hopper finds Sam Owens injured in the lab in the stairwell and dresses his wound, explaining that he has been hiding 11 for the past year and asks if he can help her live a normal life if they survive, which Owens agrees to do. The kids arrive at the graveyard and begin dousing it in gasoline. Will's veins blacken and he rips free of his bindings, strangling Joyce until Nancy burns him with a fire poker while Steve ignites the graveyard. The mind flare exits Will's body as a cloud of black smoke and flies off to the night. Will awakens, cured. Jonathan calls Hopper and clears him to close the gate, and he and 11 descend into the pit. The Demodogs distracted by the graveyard burning. 11 lets go of Hopper's hand as they face the gate and begin to use her powers, while the Mind Flayer's physical form appears to behind it. Mike trips and is almost taken by a tendril while the group flees the tunnels, but is rescued by his friends. They are confronted by D'Artagnan, but Dustin removes his face mask and gives him some three musketeers, invoking their bond to let them pass. So Dart actually does like Dustin to a point where it can easily be manipulated by Dustin, by three musketeers. 11 remembers Kali telling her to use her anger to boost her powers and thinks about her mistreatment at the hands of Brenner. The gate starts to close and the Demodogs converge on it as the kids arrive at their escape rope. Steve and Dustin prepare to sacrifice themselves for the rest of the group, only for the Demodogs to run past them. More concerned about stopping 11, Hopper shoots away the dogs that try to attack them, while 11 remembers opening the gate and Kali's, what she's talking about of Brenner. The Mind Flayer reaches a tendril out for her, and her powers become so intense that she starts to levitate. The lights across Hawkins begin to glow, and 11 pushes the Mind Flayer back through the gate before closing it completely, killing the Demodogs. Hopper cradles an exhausted 11, telling her she did well. 1 month later, the lab is shut down as Murray watches while Barb Holland is finally given a proper funeral. Hopper meets a recovering Owens in a restaurant, giving him a birth certificate that legally makes 11 his daughter. He tells Hopper to wait a year for things to cool down, and Hopper agrees on the condition that she is allowed to go out on one specific night. The boys are photographed by their mothers as they prepare to go to the snowball. Will's drawing of Bob as a superhero is hanging on the buyer's fridge. Lucas practices asking Max to dance while Erica St. Clair teases him. Dustin's mother has gotten a new kitten while Susan does Max's hair. Max glares at a passing Billy and then leaves without a comment. Dustin has done his hair using Steve's routine, who is driving him to the dance and hypes him up. As Dustin enters, Steve stares at a chaperoning Nancy before driving away, content. Nancy shares a smile with Jonathan, who is photographing the dance. As time after time starts playing, Lucas awkwardly fails to ask Mac to dance, but she accepts regardless. Will is invited to dance with a female classmate. I think he'd rather dance with somebody else. Dustin fails to get a dance, and Nancy, feeling bad for him, tells him he was always her favorite of Mike's friends and dances with him. Joyce and Hopper share a smoke outside. He promises her that dealing with Bob's death will get easier every day and puts his arm around her. As Every Breath You Take plays, 11 enters the dance wearing Hopper's bracelet made from Sarah's hairband around her waist, her wrist. Mike invites her to dance, and she agrees when she says she doesn't know how to. And Mike's like, I don't know how to dance either, but we can try. And she accepts when he asks her if she wants to figure it out with him, of course. As the boys dance with their respective partners, the camera flips to the Upside Down, where red lightning illuminates the Mind Flayer looming above Hawking's middle, and that's what ends this episode of Stranger Things and Stranger Things Season 2. So, good episode. It just didn't work 100% for me. I'm still giving the episode a 9 out of 10, and my character spotlight of the episode, I mean, all the characters did really well in this episode. Every single one of them. Steve Harrington was good. I'm going to give him special recognition because he's a really good character. You know, previously, season 1, he was a jerk, but he's gotten so good. But I really want to give props to Joyce and 11, in addition to Steve. But Hopper, everybody did good. Everybody should be the character of the episode. Even Billy, because he finally listened to his sister. Well, his sister because of marriage. But 11 and Joyce, and then Steve Harrington would be the 3 that I would pick. But you could go with really anybody. So you've heard everything that I have to say. If you're a fan of Stranger Things and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button, share this video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are about this episode of Stranger Things. What would you rate the episode, and who would you choose as a character of the episode? Remember to come back to this channel for episode reviews of Stranger Things Season 5, whenever that decides to come out. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel. Help me get over 100,000 subscribers. I know that's a lofty goal. Join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDad TV.